audible, everyone? Hello? Am I audible?
Sir, you are
Yeah, that's
clearly
great.
audible and we are live also, sir.
Okay, okay. Fine, that's amazing. I'll start sharing my screen then. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's amazing to see you all on time. Okay, I'm great. I'm great. So, am I clearly audible to everyone today? But small echo. Okay, I'll try to open my windows again. Just, yeah. Am I clearly audible now? Everyone? Absolutely audible. That's amazing. No echo. That's amazing. Yeah, we'll solve everything today. We'll solve everything. We'll solve everything. Don't worry about anything. Okay, so I think we should start then. Perfect. Cool. So I think yesterday we were. I'll just open everything, all the slides and everything that we're going to use for today. Just give me some seconds. Okay. So I'll again open yesterday's screen for the types and everything. So because we are going to cover everything today, so I'll just like tell you today's agenda orally. We are going to see all the types that are available in JavaScript and how to work with objects, how to work with arrays, and then we'll also see what are the functions that are associated with them, and so kind of everything that is in here. So, and we'll also share some assignments today. So, I hope you remember that these are the types that we shared yesterday. That is, we have number, string, boolean, null, undefined, object, and symbol in JavaScript. So we are going to see everything today. So I think is if everything is clear, we can start. So we'll start from number and we'll just go ahead with everything. We'll see all the functions associated with them and so on. Fine. So this was our page. And I want to clear one thing from yesterday. Yesterday, I think there was a mistake with the live server that it didn't get refreshed. Var doesn't take string by default. I hope you remember yesterday's doubt. Var doesn't take string by default. It also changes its type if the data is different, like this. I'll share you today. So we'll run it. So I don't want to run Mozilla Firefox as it's my default browser. It gets opened. Yeah, we are starting. So now, as you can see on your console, There is some problem with the live server, I feel. And we'll also run it with the path. Just give me a second. I just want to clear this to everyone. Why is it taking string again? Okay, then let's start. We'll check it. What's happening with this? Fine. Okay, is my coding screen visible to everyone? Is my coding screen visible to everyone? Zoom it. Is it good now? Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. Let's start then. So we are going to start with numbers. So as we said that anything that you work, like anything that you declare with let and put anything as a number, it's a number. For example, if I say let num equals 1, so it's basically a number. Fine. So we talked about variables yesterday. So today we're going to see all types of data that we can work with in JavaScript. So let's start with something called as arithmetic operators. Okay. So let's say I have two numbers like this. So first of all, I'll introduce you to all the arithmetic operators that we have. So it's plus, minus, multiplication, division, and modulus. So these are the arithmetic operators that we are going to see for today. So I just hope that everyone already knows this, but the thing is that we have to complete everything. So I'll show you in a very quick time all of this. So let's work with this. So let's start with this. So we can just do this actually. Console.log num plus num2. Let's see the output for it. You can see it is 3. The same formation, we can go on and write console.log. We can do num2 minus num. You see, it's 1. So minus is also working fine. Totally. Yes, we are going to understand all the types like today, but just focus on these basic things as we have to complete it. Then you have the multiplication thing. So I'll just change the number to 5 as so we can see. We can do num2 multiplied by and you can see in the output. So it's here. Yeah, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Okay, how to run the program? Yesterday we shared everything, right? You have to install live server and you can just right click on your HTML page and then you can just do this, right click and open with live server. You have to install live server in your VS Code. Yeah, you can use Sublime Text, not a problem. If you don't have live server, don't worry at all. You can just go on your HTML page, right click in any editor, like it can be VS Code, it can be Sublime Text, doesn't matter. You can just right click on your HTML page and just copy the path and just go and paste inside your browser. That will also work. In JavaScript, semicolon is not compulsory, but if you do it, it will be a good thing because it's like a very good programming practice. So let's work again. Same with this. console.log. We can do num divided by num2. As you know already, that slash basically divides and gives you the question for it. So in divide, we get two kinds of answer. One gives you question, and in one, you can get the remainder. So if you do num2 by num, you'll get the question. If I divide, there you go. It's basically the answer of the division for them. Actually, I did num2 by this, so I'll do num by num2, then you'll get the answer. It will be like easy to understand. It's 2.5. So it's the question. And then you can just do console.log num mod num2. And then you can see 1. So this is the remainder. So you have to understand that slash gives you the question in a divide operation, and modulus gives you the remainder in a divide operation. And then you also have one more arithmetic operator, that is double asterisk. It basically did any kind of indices operation. As you know, like that the base and power thing. So what you can, I'll show you what's actually happening. You can just do console.log num double asterisk and then num2. That basically is 5 raised to 2. No, there was no assignment on day 1. Please focus on today. You'll get it. So focus on this new operator in JavaScript. This does any indice operation on the number. So if I write num double asterisk num2, that basically says it's 5 raised to the power 2. If you see, it's 25. That is 5 squared. If I do it 3, that is basically 5 cubed. 5 raised to 3. You see, it's 125 now. How to get only question? Man, it's slash. Slash and modulus both are divide operation. One will give you question, the slash will give you question, and the modulus will give you the remainder. No, it's not for square root. It's just like this. If you put this, like it is basically, let's say num is 5, num2 is 3. If I do num double asterisk num2, that basically is 5 raised to 3. Is that clear, everyone? Yeah, guys, please. Will solve all your questions. How to get square root? It's this, man. You can just put this num2 as 2. That is basically the square. So it's 5 raised to 2. You can see it's 5 squared. If I just make it 7, now it's 7 double asterisk 2. It basically means 7 raised to 2. You can see it's 49. That is 7 squared. Is it clear to everyone? Yeah, I'll show you everything. I'll show you everything. Just tell me if you're cleared. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's totally fine. I'll show you how to concat string with variables when we're working with string. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll show you. So these were some basic arithmetic operators that we can use to perform, and I'll show you the mathematical functions in like after some time. I'll show you everything. Don't worry about it. So these were some basic mathematical calculations that you can do with all these arithmetic operators. Single asterisk is used for multiplication. Double asterisk is used for any kind of indice operation. That is basically when you want to like make it like something raised to the power something. So it's like if num is 7 and num2 is 2, if I do num double asterisk num2, that is basically 7 raised to the power 2. What are you saying? Answer of the question is wrong? Really sure? If I have num as 5 and num2 as 2, and if I divide num slash num2, I get 2.5, right? 2 multiplied by 2.5 is 5. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, that's amazing. So let's comment all this. I'll show you what are the mathematical functions available in JavaScript after some time, but let's first work with strings. Like we have to first check all the types. We have to check how we work with all this, and then we move on to the functions. I'll just comment this out and I'll just name it like I'll share you all these files today. So I'll say numbers, and after this I'll be having yeah, I'll tell you how to calculate the root of anything. There's a function available, so we'll definitely going to see everything. We'll see mathematical functions sometime later. First, we're going to complete all the types. We're working with all the types. Yeah, I'll also show you how to concatenate in the strings area. So basically, as we know that a string is basically a collection of alphabets. So what we can do, we can just declare a string like let name equals, let's say, Thor. And if I want to display it, I'll just do console.log name. I see a basic string. Shortcut for making comments is control plus slash. And now I'm going to show you how to concatenate string. So let's say you also have this. Weapon. Let's say we write fine. Let's see how to concatenate a string in JavaScript. So what you can do is, please watch carefully. Plus is used to concatenate strings in JavaScript. So you can do name plus. Now let's say you want to give some space in between the two variables. So you can just do this. Double quotes, just give some space and again plus. So remember, you have to apply plus anywhere you want to concatenate string. So if I have a variable, then I have some string, you have to use plus. And then even after the string, if you want to concatenate any variable, if you have you have to use plus again. So plus weapon. Now you can see name plus then a space just for some kind of this thing. We are using let because var is deprecated, Neha. We are using let because var is deprecated. We explained let in yesterday's video. You can just watch that again. So you can just do name, then plus, then some kind of string. I've just given a space, and then I'm using the second variable. So if you want to do it again, you can just move on like plus and everything. What can you please elaborate exactly what do you want to listen, Satvik? So now you can just see Thor space Stormbreaker. So first variable, then you have space, and then you have this. If you like, you can also write something in here. Then you can just do this. So I'm writing the first variable, then some string. I've given this space because I just want some space between the variables and alphabet. And then my second variable. Now if you see, you have this. I hope it is getting clear to everyone. Yeah, it will concatenate without space. I just give space to make it very clear. If you don't even do this, just without any space, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Even if you don't want to string, like if you don't want to use a string, you can just write a simple plus between them, and still your strings will be concatenated without any space, as you can see. Perfect. So I just shown you how to concatenate string with variables. If you want, like we can just do this. We'll just use a variable let data1 equals all of this. We can store it in here like this, and then we can just print out data1. You can see it works perfectly. Fine. Is it clear, everyone? Okay, that's amazing. Now, there's one more way that ES6 has introduced. JavaScript ES6 has introduced one more way to concatenate strings with variables, and that is the templating way. So, what you can do, I'll just write templating way here. Templating way of concatenating strings. What you can do is, let's say I just write let data2 equals. Now, to use the second kind of concatenation that ES6 has introduced, JavaScript ES6, you have to use the backtick that is available just before your numeric 1 at the top left corner. You can just use your backtick that is available just before 1, numeric 1 on your keyboard. If you can see, it's just below the escape key, the backtick. Yeah. So backtick, and then you can write whatever you write, like just write like this. Superhero. Then we are going to write, let's say Thor has now what I have to do is I have to replace Thor in Stormbreaker with my variables. So let's see how to replace them while in templating. So what you can do is you can just use a dollar and curly braces. Whenever you want to put a variable in templates, you can just use a dollar and curly braces. And then inside curly braces, you can write a variable like name and as easy as. It's simple. Use your backticks. Inside it, write any kind of string, and wherever you want to put your variable, just use that dollar with curly braces. Yes, you can write numbers also. That's not a problem. Let's say we take an example. Let age equals 1500. Oh, sorry, not number. Let's age equals 1500. Now what you can do, right? And as age is like this. Age. And that's totally fine. That works again. It's his console. Superhero Thor is a Stormbreaker and his age is 1500. Is that clear, everyone? Is it clear? The templating thing? Is everyone clear with templating? Just let me know fast in the chats. Okay, that's amazing. So ES6 has introduced this, and this basically makes writing strings more sophisticated, because in this plus it basically makes a mess when you have to write multiple lines. When you have to write like 2-3 lines, or you have to embed some kind of HTML with your string, that basically makes a mess. In that case, this particular thing helps you, because it like doesn't need any kind of plus or some like of operator. It's just you have to use your backticks that is just below the escape key in your keyboard, or just before the numeric 1 in your keyboard on the top left corner. this backtext, write whatever you want to write in the backtext, right? Whatever you want to write in the backtext, and wherever you want to put a variable, just use dollar and then curly braces, and inside that you can write your variable, and it's that easy. Is that clear, everyone? No, it's what kind of expressions, man? Is it clear, everyone? Okay, we'll be having a doubt solving session. Don't worry about it. We'll solve all your doubts in some time. Whatever you have, can we write expressions or how to like do some stuff? We're going to definitely do it. Is it clear, everyone? Okay, that's amazing. If you like, you can also mix HTML with templating, and that's really easy to mix HTML. I'll show you the difference. So let's say let data 3. For this now, I'll be using it on the console. In future, I'll show you how to put it on the web page. So don't worry about it. So you can just do this. You can again use backtext, and if you like, you can just use this H1. So templating makes it easy to mix HTML and JavaScript variables. So you can just put it like this, and it still works. So you can see, I'll just log data 3 now, drop data 2. Go on, getting refresh, you can see this. There you go. Is that fine? Right now, I'm just putting it on console. That's why I don't see the effect of H1. In future, we're going to put it on web page. That's where you can see the actual effect of H1. But right now, just understand. Right now, just try to understand that you can easily embed HTML with your variables using templating. This is a new feature introduced in JavaScript ES6. Yes, you can also use concat function to do concatenation. That's not a problem, but that's fine. Is it clear with everyone? Okay, that's amazing. So I hope templating is clear, because this makes a mess. This plus operator way of doing concatenation makes a mess when you have to write multiple lines. That's why we are using templating. Okay, that's perfect. So this is how you print strings and concatenate strings. Now let's just see some very basic string functions. String is not visible. I'm also seeing it on YouTube, man. It's clearly visible to me. Okay, let's move ahead then. And now let's see some basic string functions available in here. So what we're going to do is, I'll just comment all of this out. You have to just select and press Control/. That is how you comment your things. And now let's try. So let's see some very basic string functions, not all of them, but very basic ones. How to get only integer as answer? I don't understand your question, man. Okay, sure. Let's move ahead then. So there's a function known as length that you can use. So what I can do is, so let's see how to get length of the string that you have. So I have weapon. Weapon is quite large in length, so I'll use that variable. So there's a feature available in this, that is the particular string that you want to check. Dot length. By this, you can just see the length of your string. That is 12. Yes, we're going to see date and everything, don't worry. We're going to see everything, don't worry. So length is one of the features that will give you the length. So if you like, you can just come and concatenate here. So you can just see length is then this. That's totally fine. It's here. Perfect. After that, if you want, let's say if you want to replace something in your string, you can use this. Console.log again. Let's say weapon dot replace. Then this function has two parameters. First, what you want to replace. So let's say in my storm breaker, let's say there are two R's. And if I want to replace those three R's, if I want to replace these three R's with, let's say, A, so I can do that. So I can just come here, I can write replace R with A, something like this. It's weapon, the variable, the string that I want to do, dot replace whatever you want to replace, whatever things you want to replace, and then what particular character you want to replace it with. You just do this, save it. Okay, I think it returns something. This is a function that returns. So what first you have to do is you have to store it somewhere. Keep it actually. Yeah, it did, but only for the first occurrence. So okay, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. Actually, you can see it did the replacement, but only for the first occurrence, as you can see here. You see? Yes, it's only backticks for templating. That's totally fine. Yeah, I did it right. Console.log. I used it. Yeah, I'll show you how to find index of a particular character. Don't worry about it. So let's see that as well. Let's see that as well. So what we can do now is, let's say let index. Now let's say I want to find the index of the first R in Stormbreaker. So I can write weapon dot index of. This is a function. Weapon dot index of. And then you can just write what we're going to find. So I'll just write R. So it will give you the location of the first R. So I'll just console.log that particular thing. Console.log index. See it? There you go. That's on 3. So if you count it like this, 0, S is on 0th position, T that is on 1, O that is on 2, and then R that is on 3. So you can see index of R is at 3rd position. Is that clear? This is how you get index of any character in that particular thing, in a particular string. Is it clear to everyone? Yeah, it does count space and length. Yes, it counts space and length. For copying a string, you don't have to use any kind of function. You can just use the assignment operator equal to, and you can just copy it. Is that clear, everyone? That's perfect. Now let's see if we want to kind of substring. As you know, the substring, you can basically divide strings in parts, or you can get a particular portion of string from a string. And what you can do, yeah, I'll also show you how to get the second and third. These are very basic functions. I'm going to also show you how to get that third and second R. Don't worry about it. We're going to get in that also. Don't worry about it. So like those are some good functions. So I'm going to show you everything. Let's just focus on the basic functions right now that we can just like grasp it, because not everyone can understand the complex things right now at this point. Let's first understand everything. Okay, so the function that I was going to use is, let's say, let sub. Now what we can do is weapon dot. This is basically a function known as substrings that what will do, it will just get a portion for you from a string. If you want to like cut a particular portion from a string, then you can just take it. So what we can do is we can specify how much amount of string you want to cut that from particular string. What I can do is I can say I want to start cutting the string from 0th position, that is from S. So I'll specify 0, and after that, let's say how much you want to cut. I just say 4. If I just go there, if I see, I did it log it. Let's wait a second. Console.log. It's it. It started from 0. So listen, I said that I want to start cutting from 0, and then I want to go to 4th. I want to cut 4 characters. So it started from 0, that is from S, and then it got me 1, 2, 3, 4 characters from there. Yeah, we can replace. I'll show you how to do that. Let's just first focus on the basic functions. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Is that clear, everyone? Is substring clear? So the first is from where you want to start cutting, and the second parameter is, the second argument is how much you want to cut. Is that clear, everyone? Is substring clear to everyone? Yeah, you can also go from right to left. You just have to take some kind of length. I'll show you. That's a little complex for now. Let's say you want to cut last 3 like this. So you can also go from counting from here, but for that you have to count. Let's say if I want KER from Stormbreaker. Let's say if I want KER from Stormbreaker. So let's say it can be anything. It can be Stormbreaker, it can be president, it can be file, it can be anything. It can be any kind of string. And I want to cut only the last 3. I want to cut only the last 3. So in that case, I don't know how much to count to get the last 3. If it is any kind of string, I don't know how much to count. So what I can do is, instead of specifying 0, what I can do is I can write weapon dot length minus 3. Basically is the length is 12, right? The length is 12, and 12 minus 3 is 9. And then after that, what I can do is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is basically I'm starting from 9th position. So if I want the last 3 characters from a string, this is how to do it. Oh, I just did a spelling mistake. There you go. You can get the reverse, the last 3 characters of it. I did only 4, right? Why store? I just wanted 4 characters from it. That's why it's just store. It starts from 0, right? Listen. Okay, I'll make one thing clear. In substr, the first parameter is from where you want to start cutting, and that takes from 0. The first parameter takes from 0. The second is how much length you want to cut. That starts from 1. Remember this. The first argument says from where you want to start cutting it. Is it clear to everyone? The first argument says from where you want to start cutting. That is from 0th position or 1st or 2nd or 3rd. And the second only says how much length you want to cut. How much amount of string you want to cut. So you can specify 4 or 3 or 5. So if you want that whole strong, you can specify I want 5 characters from there. Is that clear, everyone? Is everyone clear now with substr? Is everyone clear with how to, like, if you want to come reverse and get the last three characters or last four characters? Did you get this? Did you understand this? Okay, that's amazing. Yeah, by using this we did negative indexing, right? By coming back like this we did negative indexing actually. It's not -3, man. It's weapon dot length -3. That is basically 12 -3. That comes down to 9. And it's from 9. If I say weapon dot length -3, weapon dot length is 12, right? Weapon dot weapon dot length is 12 -3. 12 -3 is 9. That is basically I want to start cutting from 9th. And from there I want three characters. Is that clear, everyone? Yeah, I'm explaining it, buddy. Listen. See, weapon dot length is 9, right? Weapon dot length is 12, right? Oh, this thing. So weapon dot length is 12. Oh, this VS Code hinting is very bad. Okay, so weapon dot length is 12, -3 is 9. So it's 9. We want to start cutting from 9th position, and then from there, I want only three characters. Is that clear? You can write 9 only, but what I said is, let's say you have like strings like this. Let's say you have strings. One string is president, then let's say one string is hero, then let's say one string is America. Now you, in this particular thing, if I say I want last three characters of all these strings, so you can't specify 9 in everything, right? If you want the last three characters of president, you have to specify 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from 6. If I want last three from hero, I have to specify 0, 1 from 1. If I want to last three from America, I want 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can't write multiple things in a single function, right? So that's why I took the length of the string -3, so that I can only come back 3 in back. Yeah, you can write 9, 3, but for that string only then, not for every string. If I have strings like this, then I have to write something like this: the length of the string -3, so that I can also, like always get the last three of this. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, that's amazing. Yes, you can put multiple strings in single variable. That's not a problem. Yes, you can put, but by using concatenation. It is to display the character. It is to get the number of characters, Sandeep. It is to get the number of characters. Yes, you can write 9, 3, but for that string only. Okay, let's move ahead then. Let's move ahead. Let's read this particular thing. Now let's start with something. Now what you can do is, let's say you have some kind of let data. I just want to don't go up again and again. So I'll just do this. Let data equals to hello, right? Now, if I only want the first character of hello to be printed, what I can do is, actually in JavaScript, strings are also treated as arrays. I'll let you know what arrays are in some time, but just understand like this. So it is basically, if I say a string, it is basically a collection of alphabets. So in JavaScript, strings are stored like each alphabet is stored on some index. Just like H is on 0th index, E is on first index, then this first L is on second index, then this last L is on fourth, and this O is on 5. So what I can do is, if I want, I can access my characters with the help of the indexing, the positions of them. So I can write data of 0 by this array notation, by this. So I'm asking about, I want to get data, I want to get the 0th position character from this string. I want to get the 0th position character from this string. That's why I've written data of 0. So I'll get H from hello. Let's see if I'm getting H. You can see I've got my H again. Is that clear, everyone? If you like, you can also get anything. Let's say I want the first L. So that is 0, 1, then 2. You can write 2. You can see I get the L. Is this clear, everyone? Okay, that's amazing. So these were some basic string functions that we are going to use in our assignments and everything. That's why I showed you. There are some more string functions like slice, splice. I'm going to show you everything when we work with arrays. But for now, these are some basic string functions that you must know. These are some basic string functions that you must know. Other are like they're like rarely used in everything, but these are some like length, then index of, then after that substring. These are some basic string functions that you must know for like doing anything in JavaScript with strings. So I hope everything is clear now. Are all the string functions cleared? Are all the string functions clear to everyone? How can I get substring starting from E and index O? That's fine, right? That's easy. That's easy. You people tell me in the chats. You can just do substring. I want from E to O, right? So if you want from this, just please here, I want E to O, then just get the index of E. So my index is as 0, 1, is that first position. So I write 1. And from there, I want to get O. So you have to count from E. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want 4 from there. So I can get E to O. You can see it here. So I didn't mention the string. So I want to first then data dot substring. You can see I get from E to O. Yes, yes, man. JavaScript can work in any editor, whether it is ES6 or doesn't matter. Is that perfect to everyone? The semicolon doesn't matter in JS, but it's very good if you do it. Technically, it will not show you an error if you don't use semicolon. That's not a problem. But for better programming practice, you should always put a semicolon. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, you can write it on length. If you want to go till last, yes, actually yes. If you want to like, if you know that you have to go till last, you can write data dot length. That's not a problem. You can just go on. But if you write data dot length, it will count till 5 then. You have to understand it. So like I'm starting from 1, right? I'm starting from 1. Then you have to count. If I put data dot length, it will count till 5. So it will count it from your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When 5 doesn't exist. So there's another way of doing it. You can just store the index somewhere and then you can just data dot length minus that particular index. Then you can make it like that. It's just like there are a lot of ways of doing getting strings from string, but getting substring from string. Okay, I hope it's that fine. Sure. Let's move ahead then. So these were everything about strings. Now let's focus on the next topic, that is arrays for today. So when I say an array, so array is basically collection of elements of same type. That is an array. Collection of elements of same type. So it can be a collection of strings, it can be a collection of numbers, it can be a collection of Boolean values, it can be a collection of objects, it can be a collection of anything. But they should be of same type to become an array. Something like this. If I want to show you, so let's say I'm creating an array. So I'm just write let data equals. Now to create an array in JavaScript, you can just use the square brackets. Inside this, by separating with commas, you can specify any number of elements in this. So what I can do is I can just write, let's say, laptop as my first element, a string element, and I can do, let's say, mouse, and I can do, let's say, keyboard. Now you can see this is an array. This thing is an array. It's basically a collection of 3 elements, and all the 3 are string. So now this is an array. This qualifies to become an array. It's that simple. Is that clear how to create an array? Just put square brackets and then just normally specified by comma, separated by comma, you can just put each and every element, whether it can be numbers, it can be things like if I want to make it numbers, let's say let numbers equals like this 23, 45, 67, 89 like this. Now this second array has 4 elements. It's that easy. Is it clear to everyone? And now, if you want to access any of the element, you can just do this. Console.log data, same like string. So just assume it like this. The index of an array starts from 0. The counting of an array starts from 0. So if I talk about data, the first element is on 0th index. That means laptop is on 0th index. Mouse is on first index. Keyboard is on second index, and it goes on like this. If I talk about numbers, 23 is on 0th index, 45 is on first index, 67 is on second, and 89 is on third. So if I want to access, let's say mouse, so I'll count. Laptop is on 0th, mouse is on first. So data, that is this particular array, and I want to take mouse, so I'll write data of 1. And that's it. I get the first element from, first in the sense, the element at the first position from data array. If I save it, you can see I get mouse. Is it clear, everyone? Isman, I'll go fast, but there are a lot of people watching, so everyone will not understand. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, if like this is possible in JavaScript, in any other particular language, this is not possible. But in JavaScript, this is possible. You can just write, let's say, data2. You can also do this. Let's say laptop, and then you can just specify a Boolean value, and if you like, you can also specify a number. Like there can be a collection like this in JavaScript. You can specify multiple different kinds of data inside a single collection, but then it's not an array, because the definition of array is collection of elements of same type. Now this will work as an array because JavaScript is loosely typed. It doesn't give you an error to for creating this kind of an array, but this normally doesn't qualify as an array because it doesn't have elements of same type. So this is a wrong practice. You can say it is a collection because it's a collection of element, but this is not an array. Is that clear? Because array is collection of elements of same type. You have to remember that. Collection of elements of same type. So never do this. Never try to do this. Is that clear? If I want, I can just print all of my array and then see like this. Like if I just do console.log data, it will print everything in my array. Like this. You can see. There's a little arrow symbol here. I can just click and see. On 0th, it's laptop. On first is mouse, and second is on keyboard. I'll explain this proto thing after some time when we are with object-oriented programming kind of thing. And you can see it also has a length property, that is, you see the length of the array is 3. That basically means there are 3 elements inside the array. Yeah, it can be called as a list. It can be called as a normal collection. Yeah, this is how you access all the elements. Like just to print all the elements. Accessing is different. Yes, you can use. We're going towards that. Not a problem. Okay, that's perfectly fine. That's totally fine. Now, even your array has some basic functions. So like there's a function called as length, the thing that you have with string, it's available here also. You just do this data.length. See, it's free here. Yes, it is. It's totally possible. We are going to do all the things. Don't worry about it. Okay, then that's fine. Now there are some methods available to arrays, just as it was available with strings. There are some methods that are available with arrays. So we can see it like this: data dot. Let's say you have this slice function. Slice. You can just say like slice. It's just like substring. It also gives you some kind of cutting. It also gives you some like removal of elements from an array. So you can just write it like this. If I want to start count like cutting from, let's say, laptop, so I'll specify 0, and I want to get all the elements. Let's say I'll specify some more elements in this so that you can easily get it. So keyboard, then I'll say monitor, then I'll say camera. Now what I can do is I'll say slice from 0 to 2. Right? I just said slice my array from 0 to 2. You can see there's an array. It's like this. Now how it is working? Again, simple. First is from which position you want to start. I want to start from laptop. First is the position of in an array. Second is how many elements from there. I just said 2 elements, that is laptop and mouse. The second is the number of elements you want. The first is from where to start. Is that clear, everyone? Is the slice function clear? There are 2 arguments. Yeah, it will not show keyboard because the first argument is from where you want to start cutting. The second is how many elements you want to cut. So I said 2 elements. If I wanted 3 elements, I'll just say 3 elements. You can see laptop, mouse, and keyboard. So the first argument is from where to start, and the second argument is how many elements you want to cut. You can check it if it is affecting the original array. You can check it. You can just print the data. No, it doesn't affect your original array. As you can see, it's completely fine. The original array is still completely fine. And if you want, let's say from mouse, you can just specify 1 and then how many elements from there. You can see. Okay, one more thing to remember. The counting always starts from the start. See, the counting always starts from the start. So now I said start cutting from 1, that is start cutting from mouse, and I said 3 elements. So counting always starts from start. So 1, 2, 3. So the second argument, that is how many elements you want to cut in slice, always starts from the very start of the array. Yes, you can store it in a different variable. That's not a problem. Is that clear, everyone? The second argument always counts from the first element. Is that clear? Is it clear? Is the slice method clear? The first is from where to start. The second is how many elements you want to cut, and it always counts from the start. Yeah, it always counts from the start. Okay, that's amazing. So this is one method that you can use with arrays. You can also get the length. There are some more methods that we're going to see in some time. So these are some basic methods that you should know. I'm like showing it one by one. I'll explain you all the methods like whenever we get the time, whenever we get some kind of code like that to explain everything. Okay, so this is working with some basic arrays. Now there is one more way of working with arrays, and for that we have to learn the control statements that are available in JavaScript. So before moving on to the next types like object and everything that are some kind of complex, Yes, we can also work with splice. Let's work with this. Let's work with this. I wanted to show it in future because I just okay. I will get back to splice. Don't worry about it. We'll get back to splice in some time because I want to show some example in that. I want to show some example, some kind of assignment that you want to do with splice. So I'll show you. Don't worry about it. I'll explain splice. So let's first move on to the control statements that are very important to work with arrays and everything. So let's just stop the concept of types here, just for right now. Now we know number. Now we know what are numbers and how to work with numbers. Now we know what are strings and how to work with strings and their basic functions. Now we know what are arrays and some functions about them. So now we are going to understand, like to work with these arrays and thing, we are going to understand some control statements that are available in JavaScript. So for that thing, we're going to start with control statements that are basically loops and conditions. So just try to understand it once properly. You don't have to use pass, float, or passant if you use let. Kushal, you don't have to use pass, float, or passant because when you use let, everything is just a number. It's not a float or int. Everything is just a number. Okay. So now let's start with this thing. I'll explain difference between constant and static later today, for sure. Fine. So now let's first understand the concept of loops. So just understand it like this. Let's say you have some lines of code. Let's say you have any kind of code that you want to, let's say, execute repeatedly or in some kind of repetition. You want to, like, let's say you have some lines of code. Let's say you have a line of code and you want to execute 5 times or 10 times or let's say even infinite times. So there is a way that you can use to execute a code multiple times that you don't have to write it again and again. So let's say for example you have a code to get length of a string, but you have to get length of 100 strings. So in that case, you don't have to write that particular line of code again and again for 100 times. You can use something called as loops. Loops basically helps you to execute a statement multiple times by writing it once. You don't have to write it again and again. So that is the thing we are going to learn. So always remember loops are something that will help you to execute a particular code multiple lines of like multiple times. And you have like various ways to write them. So that's what we're going to learn in like next 15 minutes about loops. Remember the line? Loops are something that will help you to execute your code multiple times. Now, to create a loop, you always have to remember that you always need a start. Always remember, for loop, you always need a start. You always need a condition. For example, if you don't have a condition, so like for breaking a loop, you always need a condition. If you don't have a condition, that if like it will always like go on repeating itself. So you always need a condition. Like it should know where I should end. A loop should know where should I end. If you do not end loop, it will just go infinite times. It will just keep repeating, and repeating it. So always remember loop always want a start. That means from where to start and a condition that specifies where to end. Remember this thing. So two things. Loops are used to repeat, like execute code multiple times or repeat some kind of code. And it always has a start and that specifies from where to start. And it also always has a condition that specifies where to end it, like how many times to run it. Is that clear, everyone? Is the definition clear in your mind? Is it easy? Is it clear, everyone? Can we see it on charts? Is it clear, everyone? Okay, that's amazing. Okay, fine. So now, there are basically 3 ways of writing loops in JavaScript, as in any other programming language. Like there are a lot of ways of writing loop. There are a kind of like a lot of loop functionalities available in JavaScript. But right now we're not focusing on that. Right now we are focusing on 3 basic loops that are available in JavaScript that are also available in any other programming language like C or C++. I'll also explain the inbuilt functional loops that are available in JavaScript that I'll show in some time. But for now, just like to understand the loops, let's first see those 3 basic loops that are available. And the names are while. I know for some people it might be very basic, but for some people it might be very understanding. So please try. Please try to understand. So there is while, then there is do while, and then there is for. These are the three kinds of basic loops that are available in JavaScript. So we're going to see all three of them right now. Actually, all of them work for the same thing. They execute statements multiple times. They all have a start and an end. But we're going to see how they work and what is the basic difference that they are created for. Let's first start with for loop. If you start with for loop, so you write it like this: for. Then the first thing you have to do it. Once again, what you want to understand loops. It's very simple. Loops are created. Loops are created basically to execute statements multiple times. They always have a start and they always have a end. That is specified by a condition. I'll show you. So let's say I'm using a for loop. Let's see how to write it. You'll get it. So it is a for loop. I'm writing a for loop. So first, in the first parameter, I have to specify what is the start. So I'll say, and start is basically a variable initialization. That's all. A start for a loop is basically a variable initialization. So I say let I equals 1. So this is my start. I'm saying I equals 1. You have to put a semicolon. And now where to end it? Or for how many times you have to run the loop. So I'll say run the loop till I is less than 10. Something like this. So I'm saying that I is equal to 1. So start when I is equal to 1. And run it till I is less than 10. That means if I is 8 or 6 or 9, run it. But if I is equal to 10 or greater than 10, you have to break the loop. Understanding it? Start the loop whenever I is 1 and end the loop whenever I becomes equal to 10 or greater than 10. Because I have mentioned the loop should run only if I is less than 10. Is that clear? Now let's try to understand it. It's really simple. Let's try to understand it. Let's say the only code I want to execute here is some kind of console.log help. Now let's try to understand this. Let's try to understand this one. The by default feature of the loop is repeating itself. Remember this. This is the easiest explanation. Loop has the by default feature of repeating itself. Loop basically repeats itself again and again. You don't have to specify please repeat yourself. Loop's basic feature is to repeat itself. So now this loop will repeat itself. Let's say there is some code above the loop. We try to understand this once. It will get all clear. And there is some code below the loop. Like this. There is some code above the loop. So what will happen if it starts executing? First, this code will execute it. Then the loop will start executing. Now, the by default feature of loops is to execute itself again and again. So what will happen? This loop will execute again and again. So it will just come, check, okay, I is equal to 1. If check, if I is less than 10, okay, I is less than 10. Go inside. Console.log hello. And it's the by default feature to go up again. So what will happen? Like this. Check. Okay, fine. I is equal to 1. Now see, if I is less than 10, yes, 1 is less than 10. Come inside hello and again go up. Again check. Okay, fine. Still I is less than 10 because I is still 1. Okay, fine. Now what's happening? I is never changing. In this particular 4 or 5 lines of code, I is never changing. I is not changing at all. So this loop will go on because I is starting from 1 and 1 is always less than 10 and I is never changing. I is never going above 10. So this loop will repeat itself, repeat and infinitely until I is equal to or greater than 10. So for that thing, you have to specify somewhere that I should get increased. It should reach 10. It should reach 9. It should become somewhere equal to 10 or greater than 10 to cancel the loop. For that, you have a third parameter. You can specify I plus plus. That is basically please increment I by 1. Or you can write I equals I plus 1 like this. The shorthand is I plus plus. That basically says increment I by 1. Now in this case, what will happen? Please try to understand. The loop will start. Okay, fine. Initialize I with 1. I'll write it here. Let's say initialize I with 1. Okay, fine. Is I less than 10? Yeah, I is less than 10. Come inside. console.log hello, and now increment I. So I will become 2. Now it will go again, it will check. It's 2 less than 10. Yeah, perfect. Come inside, print hello, and increment I, that is 3. Go again. It will happen for 4, 5, 6, 7, till 8 it will happen. Now let's say it is 8. I is 8. Okay, is 8 less than 10? Perfect. Come inside, print hello. Okay, perfectly. And increment I. Okay, fine. 9. Again, this see it for a second. Again, go up. Check. Is 9 less than 10? Yes, perfectly. It's 9. 9 is less than 10. Come inside, log hello, and increment I. Now it's 10. Now it will again go up. And now check. Is 10 is less than 10? No, 10 is equal to 10. So 10 is not less than 10. Now the condition becomes wrong and it will just exit it from here and come outside. It will not go inside. It will just come outside. Is it clear, everyone? Yeah, I know Pratik, it is too basic, but not for everyone, right? Don't worry, Pratik, we'll get to all the topics. Just it is for everyone. So like everyone should understand what is a loop. Like if there is someone new, so it can be like this. No, it will not run because for loop has 3 parameters. You have to write it. So now let's try to understand this. Let's try to run it. Let's see if it is working fine. So you can see hello has been printed and here it is showing in the log. That is, it has been printed 9 times. Because hello is printing same thing again and again, it is always 9. Yeah, I'll explain pre and post increment. Don't worry about it. I'll explain it. Fine. What I'll do is instead of hello, I'll log my I here. See now what happens. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Basically, it is printing whatever it is incrementing. If I make it, let's say, go till less than or equal to 10. That basically means now go till it is equal to 10, and you can just no, you can use anything. I is basically kind of standard. Everyone uses it. That's why we use I. Yeah, I'll explain for this. Don't worry about it. So now I'm saying it to go till 10. Like run if I is less than 10 or equal to 10. Don't go beyond 10. So now it is working till 10. Is that fine? Is it clear, everyone? Is for loop clear? Yeah, nothing will happen is I is 0, man. It will start from 0. That's all. That's all. 0, 1, 2, 0 to 10. That's totally fine. Nothing will happen. Nothing new will happen. It's basic understanding. Is everyone clear? Let's wait for some time. Let's just complete these basic things. That's all. Okay, that's amazing. Fine. Now, in the same way, we can also work with while loop. Now we're just going to comment this thing. Now, while loop is syntactically a little different, but works all the same. Works all the same. So you just try it. While. Again, inside this, you have to specify the condition. Now you have to like initialize a variable. So I'll just say let I equals 1. You have to specify the, let's say, you have to specify the initialization above the loop because while only has one parameter, that is the condition. It needs the condition. You have to write I less than equal to 10. I'm doing pretty much the same thing, but by while loop. Console.log I, and then you have to specify I plus plus here. It's almost the same thing. It's almost the same thing. It's just like in for loop, you specify everything in a single line. But in while loop, you do the initialization at the start. In the parameter of the while function, you just put your condition and you increment inside the body. It does all the same things, as same as it. Is it clear, everyone? You see, the output is still same from 1 to 10. It's totally fine. Yes, same as C. Loops are same everywhere. Loops are same everywhere. You don't have to worry about it. In C or C++, everywhere is same. Loops are same everywhere. Nothing has changed. Is that clear, everyone? Now, for loop and while loop are also called as entry control loop because they first check the condition and then execute the statements. That's why they are known as entry control loop. But this is not the case for the third loop. I'll show you that thing again. Now let's comment this out. Now let's start with the third loop, that is do while loop. So what happens there, you write do, then you have to write your statements like, let's say console.log. Let's say again you have to initialize here. So let I equals 1, console.log I, and then your condition comes here last. That while I is less than equal to 10. I'm writing the same thing, exactly the same thing that I did with while, but I'll show you what is the change here. I can see what do while loop is doing. It will first execute the statement, then it will check the condition. What these two loops were doing, they were first checking the condition, and then they were executing the statements. That's why they were entry control loops. But in do while loop, first the statement is executed, and then after that you have your condition. So let's see. I did pretty much the same thing right now. Let's just see what it's doing. It is still doing the same thing from 1 to 10. Now let's see what is the difference actually. Now let's say I initialize I with 11. I initialize I with 11. I'll tell you which one is the better, which one is the best loop. So let's say I initialize I with 11. And now let's see. Now if I initialize I with 11, I for sure know that my condition is wrong at the first time only. My condition is wrong at the first time only. But now, if I execute it, you see, at least for one time my loop has been executed. At least for one time my loop has been executed. And it is happening because the execution is happening first and then it is checking the condition. So even if the condition is wrong at the first time, it will still execute once. That is what do while loop does for you. Is that clear, everyone? So do while basically is an exit control loop because it checks the condition at the end, and while and for are basically entry control loops. And all the loops have their significances. They are used like on different conditions. I'll show you where you can do is. Don't worry about it. Yes, for loop is the best. For loop is the best, but you can use other loops too. Like there are various conditions where you can apply all these loops. I'll show you. Don't worry about it. Okay, I hope loops are cleared. Okay, everyone was asking about post and pre, increment and decrement. I'll show you what happens. I'll just explain it in a quick time. Please understand it. I'm explaining the difference between post and pre increment, and it applies same for the decrement. So just try to understand it. So let's say you have a variable. Let's say a. Let's understand it's a, and it is equal to 1. And you have an operation here. Let C equals a plus plus. Try to understand. Please see here. Try to understand. So this is a post increment, right? This is a post increment. A plus plus, that basically is post increment. Let's try to understand. A was 1. C is equal to a plus plus. That was with incrementing a. Now let's see what is the value of C right now. See, the value of C is 1. It basically means if it is a post increment and it is inside an operation, the operation is going to be executed first and then the increment will be executed. That's what happens in post increment. In post increment, the operation is executed first and then the increment happens. But if it was pre increment, right now, A is 1, C is equal to pre incremented A. Now let's see what is the value of C. Can you see? Now the value of C is 2. That basically means in pre increment, the value is incremented first and then the operation is executed. Is that clear? Print the value of A, that's not a problem, man. A always will be 2. And let's write it like this, or don't get confused. A is C is C now. Value of the A will always be 2 because it is incrementing, right? A is 2, C is 2. But if it was post increment, C A is 2, but C is 1. Is it clear, everyone? A is always getting incremented. So whether it is post or pre, A will always become 2 from 1. But I'm assigning the value of A to C while post and pre-incrementing. So if it is post, first the operation will get executed and then the post. Then the increment will happen. And if it is pre-increment, the increment will happen first and then the assignment will happen. Because A is incrementing. Why A is 2? Because A is incrementing. A is always incrementing. Whether it is post or pre, doesn't matter. A is incrementing. Is that clear, everyone? Is the difference between post and pre-increment clear? And it applies same for decrement. Same for decrement. Is it clear, everyone? Okay. Let's move ahead then. Now let's see how can you use a loop with an array. So again, getting back to my arrays now. I'll activate my arrays and comment my arrays now. Fine. Now let's do it. So let's see if I want to print the values of my array using a loop, how can I perform it? You write something like this. So you always know that the index of array starts from 0. So what I can do is I can write let I equals 0 because I know that my index of array starts from 0. Then let's say the length of my array is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. No, it's not 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I should be, but the last index is at 4. So I'll write less than equal to 4. Go till 4, die plus plus. Console.log. Now data, and I know that as my I will go from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, I'll write data of I. Now it is doing the same thing. See it carefully. First, what will happen? I will be 0 at start. I will be 0 at start. Okay, check. If 0 is less than 4, it's fine. Come inside, print data of I, that is data of 0, that is laptop. Yes, you can do that. I'm going to show you. Don't worry about it. These are just steps of explanation. Then I will increment. I'll become 1. And again, same. Is I is less than, if 1 is less than 4, that's fine. Come inside data of I, that is data of 1, that is mouse. And so on till 4 because my loop is going till 4. So let's try. Let's see if it is working fine. You see, I've printed everything. Laptop, mouse, keyboard, monitor, camera. Now there's a problem in this particular execution. The thing is, if I go and dynamically add any kind of element in my array, like let's say I just add mobile. So what I have to do, I have to come inside my loop and change my length here again. So whenever there are elements added in my array, I have to every time come here and change the length of this. So instead of this, what I can do, instead of writing every time, like if my array is size 5, I have to write 5. If my array is size 8, I have to write 8. Instead of that, I can just write my array name dot length. And you have you always have to go less than length. Because the last index is always 1 less than length. Like if I count my indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. I have 6 elements, but the last index is 5. So if I write I less than equal to data dot length, it will go till 6. So that is the problem. So you always go less than length. That is basically 1 less than length because the last index is always 1 less than length because the array always starts from 0. I can see it's working perfectly. So now let's try to dynamically add a value in an array. And I'm going to show you how to dynamically add a value in an array. So there's an inbuilt function for arrays to dynamically add values. There's something known as push. There's a function named push that will help you to dynamically add elements in the array. So I can add data.push. I can just add Mike. So this push function will add a new element in my array. Save it. And see, Mike is also added in the array. It is getting printed. So push is a function that will help you to dynamically add elements in the array. Is that clear? I'm going to show everything out how to take inputs and everything. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. So this is how you print arrays with for loops. Now there is one more thing. There's an inbuilt feature loop, inbuilt functional loop that is already present in an array. You can also use that loop if we want. There's an inbuilt functional loop. Instead of for loop, I can use something like for each. You can also use for each. In this, you have to specify like a simple object that will take that element. So I'll just write ELE. Right now, I have not like introduced you to arrow function, so I'll not use this. So this is like something that comes some later on, but let's see if we can still use it. We can just go on, and you can see my output is still same. So in this case, you have like remove everything. You don't have to specify a start. You don't have to specify an end, or you don't have to increment or decrement anything. It's just like data dot for each. That basically means for each element of data, a function will be called, and in this particular parameter of the function, that particular data will go. So it will go like this. For each element of data, this function will be called. This particular function will be called this. This function will be called for each element of data. For each element of data. And whenever that like function is on a particular element, let's say it first goes on laptop, the value of the ELE will be laptop. Then once it moves to mouse, the value of ELE will be mouse. Once it moves to keyboard, the value of ELE will be keyboard. So basically the value of ELE changes once the loop shifts from one position to another position. Is that clear? It sends automatically. You don't have to send it. It sends automatically. The for each loop travels through the array and take one elements and puts in the ELE variable. Is that clear? For each a little faster. For each is a little faster. It's user defined. It's completely user defined. You can put anything. You can put an A if you want. It's user defined. A is this element is user defined. You don't have any kind of problem. Completely undefined. It's working like this. I'm writing data dot for each. That is work for each of the element of this particular array. It basically is travel each and every element and pick one element and put inside this variable. It's like this. Yeah, I will do. I'll definitely do. I'm coming to arrays. We'll also do null, object, and boolean. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'm not leaving anything behind. We'll do everything. That's why we're taking this time. Is that clear to everyone? This is how you print arrays. For each is far better than for, because you don't use any extra variables. We don't write that lines of code and everything. But it depends. If you want some kind of tracking, then you can use for loop because it has an extra variable that will help you. You cannot use it without function. Either it is this function or an arrow function. And I have not introduced you with arrow function. I'll introduce you. Don't worry. For each has a function. It by default has a function. That's the syntax. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Is for each clear to everyone? Yes, I'll share. I'll share everything. I'll share everything. Don't worry about it. That's why I'm writing and committing everything, not deleting everything. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. So this is how you work with arrays at start. We are going to work with them a lot of times because we are going to why function, because for each has a function. It is the syntax. We are not doing anything here. It is the syntax. It is the syntax. Don't worry. It is the syntax. It is just like a function that is getting called every time the element is traveled in the array. For each travels the array from start to end by default. We don't have to specify anything. After the brace, why this there is. Yeah, because we are closing this, right? We are closing this. We also have to close this function, right? This is function. Okay, we have to close this, right? This function, the first bracket. Okay, that's amazing. So these are like few basic things that we can work with arrays, and we are going to like see a lot of things when we do an example. You cannot use it without function, man. It is this. Like, there's a shorthand. You can use an arrow function that will make it short, but that is internally. That is the parameter. We cannot do anything. Fine. Now let's move to the next data types, that is null and undefined, that I wanted to explain you. So let's see all those short types because they are very short. You don't have to work with them a lot. They just come to the things. So let's understand that before ending the session. Harsh, sir, are you there? I think he's not there. Let's try to understand the next things now. So I'll just comment this out for now. I'm putting all the code here so you can comment and uncomment and see everything. It's everything is just commented, so don't worry about anything. You have everything here. I'll just share this file with you. Now let's move ahead. Booleans, and these are like the well-known things. These are basically a type that only has two kinds of values, that is true and false. Only two values, true and false. How to do comment? It's control slash. Control slash. So basically, it's a type. Boolean type is basically containing only two values, true and false, and it is always used with conditions. For example, like it will always give you like if something is true or something is false. That's all. Like this. If we just write console.log, let's have some variables. Let's have let a equals to 2, let b equals to 5. If I write check, please, if a is equal to now, when we use true or false, when we work with conditions, there are a few operators that you have to use. So it is like this. You have operators like double equal to, then you have operators like less than equal to, then you have operators like greater than equal to, then you also have not equal to. So these are few operators that we are going to use with conditions where we get true and false values. So these are the operators that right now we are going to see. So let's try. So I'm checking if a is equal to 2. Like if a is equal to 2, if a is passing the equality test. Now if I can write if a is equal to b. Let's see. What is the value? Let's see. AC. AC is coming false. Is that clear? It basically is a is 2 and b is 5. They are not equal. That's why it is false. If I make my b as 2, and now I'm checking, please print if a is equal to b. And it is true. We are going to see that and all. Don't worry about it. We are just going step by step. Please don't worry about anything if you know something already. Is that clear? Is that clear, everyone? Don't worry, Satvik. We are going to cover all the things. Don't worry about it. Same thing. If you want, you can just do it here. Console.log a is less than equal to b. So I can just go on and write this 10. Now, like if you try to understand it, it's like this. Check for a is equal to b. That will basically be false because a is 2 and b is 10. Now here it is check for a should be less than or equal to b. So a is not equal to but a is less than b. That's for sure. You can just go on and see. The first is false and the second is true. I'm going to show you how to use break and continue. Don't worry about it. Yes, yes, they are both operators. We're going to see Ria. Don't worry about it. Is that clear, everyone? So you can apply these operators and try and everything. Don't worry about anything. Fine. Now let's see if I want like these. This is just I'm checking the conditions if they are giving me true or false and everything. Now what we can do is we can convert in some kind of statement. So for that we have something known as a control statement, that is if. Right now we are just checking if they are true or false. But if we want, we can do some particular task with that true or false. So what we can do is we can use something called as an if statement. So you can write if A is less than B, perform something. So we can make the use of conditions becoming true or false by using the if statements. We just write hello. So now what's happening here is I want to print hello if A is less than B. So if I check now, A is 2 and B is 10. So that's perfect. 2 is less than 10. This condition will approve to true. And if statements only execute if the conditions are true. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, that is not equal to Josley. That is not equal to. Okay, let's try. Let's try if this is working. If I'm getting hello. And that's perfect. I'm getting hello. Because A is less than B. If I try the other way, if A is greater than B. Now in this case, A is greater than B is false. In this case, B, there's no hello. There's nothing. I'll just comment out this so that you don't get confused about this. You don't get anything. In this case, if the condition is true, I'll execute the statement. If the condition is false, I'll do nothing. But if you want, you can also perform something if the condition is false, and that is by using the else statement. Remember always, else does not have any condition. Else is just used whenever the if condition is wrong. And you should always remember, you should never code between if and else. Never code between if and else. Never code anything between if and else. Just write console.log. Okay, I think it's right. Correct. Don't worry, today just we are understanding the programming concepts. We are going to build a lot of real-time assignments. Don't worry about anything. Incorrect. Now if you see, I'm writing if A is greater than B. So if the condition is true, print correct. And if the condition is false, print incorrect. If I see, let's see performance. I'm printing incorrect. That means basically the else condition getting executed because this condition is false. Is it clear to everyone? Yes, it is if else statement. It's very, very basic if else statement. There's nothing tough in this. Is that clear, everyone? Is everyone clear with this? We are also going to see some new, like, let's see it today only. Let's see it today. We have some time. So let's say something like this. I'll take a very basic C or C plus example that you might have already learned. Let's try this. Let's say I have a variable called as grade. Okay, that's right to understand. I have a variable called as grade that basically stores the percentage that I've got. So I can write 70, right? So I'll come down here. I can write if grade is greater than 70, or let's say greater than equal to 70, console.log first class. Now let's say if it might be some case where you want to specify multiple conditions in a single statement. You have to specify like you just don't have one condition that if it is true do this, if it is false do this. Let's say if you have multiple conditions, like if it is something like this, perform this, or if it is something like this, perform this. So you can also do that. So for that you have to write, you have else if. If you have multiple conditions, you have else if. So if, else if, else if, else if, like how many conditions you have to use else if, and then you can finally also use else. So else if grade is greater than equal to 50, console.log. I'm just taking example. You're going to see a very big assignment in this. Don't worry about it. You can also write else if grade is greater than equal to 35. Third class, else if doesn't satisfy any of the condition, you can just write console.log. Okay. That's simple. Now you can see my grade is 70. So I think it should come first class. Let's see. It is first class. Indeed. It's totally fine. If I just make it like, let's say, 56. Now let's see. It is perfectly second class. But now this program is perfectly fine. But this is technically incorrect. This program is technically incorrect because like it is working because if one condition is executed, the second condition doesn't execute. In multiple if statement, this is a multiple if statement. In a multiple if statement, if one condition is executed, the other conditions are not executed. But this program is technically incorrect. For example, if I have grade 90, and if you try to compare, is 90 greater than 70? Perfect. Is 90 greater than 50? Perfect. Is 90 greater than 35? Perfect. So this program is basically technically incorrect. For example, if I write 50 first, let's see what is the problem with this approach. If I write 50 first, and if I write 70 second, and that is not a problem. I can write this. If I want, I can write this. Like I can play with my conditions. I don't have to like sequentialize my conditions. I can write anything. Now see the problem. So I'm saying if it is greater than 50, second class, if it is greater than 70, first class. And now let's see what's happening. Even if I have 90, I'm getting second class because this condition is getting executed first. And in a multiple if statement, if one condition is true, others are omitted. They are not working. So now my first condition is already true. So I'm not going for all these conditions. And in this case, this is wrong. So this is the problem with this approach, only with greater. And here comes the role of setting multiple conditions in a single line. So what you can do is, you can also specify multiple conditions in a single line by using and or logical operators. By using and or. And is specified by double ampersand and or is specified by a pipeline. So you can't use switch here. The switch is useful, but you can't use switch because you're specifying a range, you're specifying multiple conditions. Switch is for single conditions. Now what I can do is I can specify and, logical and, grade is less than 70. Now what I'm saying here is, if grade is greater than 50 and less than 70, that means if my grade falls between 50 to 70, then it is second class. Here I can write if grade is greater than 70 and grade is less than equal to 100. If grade is greater than 35 and grade is less than 50. And now this program is technically correct. Now it knows what are my ranges. Here similar to in between, exactly. Now it is 50 to 70. Actually it's 50 to 69 because it's less than 70. Now let's see if it is working fine. Now you can see it is first class. So now it doesn't matter wherever I write my conditions, it's always correct. So this program is technically perfect now. Is that clear? Is that clear, everyone? Is it clear to everyone? We're going to work with switch, but not right now because I want to explain you null and undefined right now. Is this clear to everyone? Please tell me in the chats. Just give me some yeses. Clear with the logic, how I introduce you to AND? Okay, that's amazing. Okay, what we can do, Harshit sir, are you there? Harshit sir? Are you there backstage?
Yes, sir. Tell me.
Yeah, can we take like a 5 minutes out session and then I can just continue for the last two things I want to explain for today?
Sure. We can do that.
Okay, okay. So guys, what we'll do is like we'll take a little break so that you can understand everything, and you can, in this case, you can also ask me all the doubts. We are not going to do any kind of programming thing like Fibonacci series or division of numbers because we have to do like much better things here. So just try to understand this. We are going to do a lot of better things like working with DOM elements and everything. So today you can say we are just understanding all the programming concepts. From the next lecture, we are going to work on real-time web apps, real-time DOM manipulation. This is just the concept. It might be a little boring if you have already known this, but this is important. This is very, very important. And I'm gonna get you some assignments to do. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna give you some assignments. So right now I have 5 minutes down. We are going to build projects. I'm planning to build 2 or 3 projects in this. I'll share what we're gonna build in some time. No, we can also work with elements. Inside the loop, you can do anything you want. For now, we are just console.logged it. We can do anything. We can not only console, we can work with elements. We can perform substring, we can perform anything. It's not only for each is not only for printing. Loops are not only for printing. Yes, we can take user-defined input, but right now I'm not introducing it. For the DOM manipulation, for the working with elements, for user-defined input, we are going to see everything from next lecture. Today, we are just trying to understand all the programming concepts so that you don't get any doubts in, like if I do some kind of programming and mixing, you don't get any doubts. That's when we're completing everything. Some of you might be knowing it, some of you might be not knowing it, but this is all important. So we have a 5 minutes out session. Come on, you can ask your doubts now. Yes, you can use a break statement in a loop. That's not a problem. Yes. We will use really. We'll stop console.log and we'll work on the real web page. This is just for understanding the concepts. Okay, what I'll do, I'll just explain the starting and constant. Okay, if listen, this is not for everyone. This is for people who have worked with object-oriented programming. There's one doubt that is going around. What is the difference between starting and constant? Let's explain it. This is not related to JavaScript. This is just a programming concept that I'm getting it clear right now. So it is not related to JavaScript. It is just I'm getting it clear. So if you have ever worked with object-oriented programming, assume it like this. You have a class. You have a class demo, right? You have a class demo. And let's say you have a variable in that, integer A. Now what happens normally is, I'll explain null and undefined. It's for today. Don't worry, it's for today. I'm just explaining the doubts here. Please check it. It can be asked you in any of the interviews. What is the difference between static and constant? So let's say I have an object of demo class. So demo D equals new of demo. Now what normally happens in object-oriented programming, the number of objects you create, let's say I have 3 objects. So this A will be created 3 times. This A will be created once for D, once for D1, and once for D2. This A will be created once for D, once for D1, and once for D2. This is what happens normally in object-oriented programming. Now, let's say if somewhere in my code, I want to create a variable that is not getting created multiple times. I just want to create it once and you just use that for all my objects. So what I can do, I can make it static. That is the use of static. That is the use of static. Is that clear? Whenever you make something static, like if I also have integer b, so what will happen is this b will be getting created 3 times, once for the first object, once for the second object, and once for the third object. But this a will be created only once, and it will be created for the class that can be used by all the objects, that can be shared by all the objects. Is that clear? I have 2 variables, one is static, one is non-static. Non-static variables are created again and again for every object. So b will be created once for d, once for d1, and once for, so b will be created 3 times, and a will be created only once, and it can be used with all the objects equally. Is that clear? This is what static means. Yes, static is shareable. This is what static means. So now what we say is, and constant, constant, we explained it yesterday. Constant is basically something that remains constant, you cannot change it. So why people get confused between static and constant, I'll also tell you the reason. What happens? Now, if I assume like, okay, I have a value, I want to use pi. I want to use pi, right? I want to use pi. The value is fixed. The value is fixed like 3.14. Like the value is fixed. So the value is fixed, that's why I make it constant, because the value is fixed. But now what will happen? Pi will be getting created 3 times. Once for D, once for D1, and once for D2. That basically means it will take 3 memory locations. Now I know 3.14 is never going to be like changing. It is a constant value. 3.14 is a constant value. I have made it a constant. And even if it is constant, I'm creating it 3 times. So basically I'm wasting my memory. So that's why I always try to make my constants static, so that this pi is only created once and it is used by all 3 objects. So that only one memory allocation, like memory is allocated to the pi. So we always try to make constant things static. Static and constant are not same, they are different. So static is shareable by all the objects. Normal variables or constants are created every time for all the objects. We make constant things static so that a lot of memory is not allotted for them. Is that clear? Is the difference between static and constant is clear? Object, but it is an object-oriented programming. I will tell in the later part. Don't worry. When we are starting with it, don't worry about it. I hope this difference is clear. A lot of people are confused. Yeah, we'll also use switch case, but not for now. It is very easy. We are going to use it. When we use it, I'll explain it again. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So let's. Do we have any more doubts? Do we have any more doubts here? I'll explain it again. Don't worry. Don't worry, Diksha. I'll explain it again sometime. Don't worry. Okay, assignment. I'll talk to the team about this uploading assignment on GitHub. Don't worry. I'll talk to the team once and let you people know. Don't worry. Do we have any more doubts? Do we have any more doubts? I think next class date is on next Saturday. I'll confirm with the team. They will inform you. Don't worry about it. Okay, I don't think any doubts coming right now. I don't see any doubts coming. Let's start with the last things for today. Understanding null and undefined. I'll show you how to get data from user. Don't worry. Today is just, we're just completing the programming concepts. From next lecture, we are going to see everything. We are going to manipulate the real things. Don't worry about it. Okay. Okay, let's start. Let's start. So now, remember 2 things. Like when I talk about null and undefined, they are very closely related. They are very, very closely related. The only difference is undefined is provided by the system. Null is an intentional thing. Null is provided by us and undefined is provided by the system. I'll show you what it is. Let's say we create a variable like do we have any copy of the data? No. Okay, I have grade. I'll just comment it. It's not grade. Also write the conditional statement so that you get this file. I'm just commenting everything. Please try to understand null and undefined. Now, let's try to create a variable data. That's all. Try to variable data. Use LF in place. No, you cannot use LF. It's else if. LF isn't used in SQL. So that is something else. The syntax is not, you cannot use that LF here. I'll give you assignment. Don't worry, I'll give assignment today. There is assignment for today. So I have created a data variable and I have not initialized it. I have not initialized it. Now let's try to print it. Console.log data. Let's see what is the value. Now can you see? It is undefined. That basically means whenever you create a variable or wherever a variable is created and there is no value to it, by default, system gives it undefined. By default, system gives it undefined. Elif is also used in SQL if you think. And I think it is used in Python also. So undefined is given by the system by default. So whenever you create a variable and there is no data available to it, and if you try to use it, by default it is undefined. Just like this. See, just like this. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, it is given by the system. And null is something that we give. See, now it is null. So both are almost same. Both don't have value, but null is a value that we give, and undefined is applied when there is no value at all. Yes, Python gives null maybe, yes. JavaScript gives undefined because it differentiates between undefined and null. Because it says null is a value that can be used. Like, for example, let's say you're displaying some text somewhere, and let's say after some time, for let's say you're displaying a title on the website. Just assume it like this. Let's say you're displaying a title on the website, and you want to display the title for 4 days, but in between one day you don't want to display it. So I display it for 2 days, and for the third day I make it null. I make that variable null, so that there is nothing displayed. And for the fourth day I again make it give the title. But you cannot leave anything undefined because undefined basically means nothing. That variable is not yet defined. It doesn't have any value. So that will crash. That will give an error. Is that clear? So it's simple. Null and undefined are very close. Undefined is just given by the system when you don't give anything, and null is given by us. Null is basically very intentional. So yes, in here null is treated as an object. Yes, you can run data structure using JS. Yes, you can. Difference so that thing Python is wrong because it gives null. No, it is not wrong. Every other language has its own properties. JavaScript understands that null can be intentional. That's why it is giving undefined. Python doesn't need that. So no language is wrong. It is just how the creator created it. Just like that, how they thought about it. If they want, they can also introduce undefined. So it's just how the evolution is going on and how the use is going on. So no one is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Array of string and string array. Listen, string is getting treated as an array, but it's not a complete array. An array of string is basically an array of string. It is a complete array. String. Some features of a string are like arrays, like index-based accessing and everything, length and everything, but it's not an array. It is just for some features, strings behave like array, but array of strings are completely arrays. I'm going to show you how to take input. People asking how to take input. I'm going to show you in the next lecture. Today we are just going to like understanding all the programming concept. Empty is undefined. Null is not empty. Yes, you can use null. I told it, right? Difference between null and undefined. Null is intentional. We give null. Undefined, that is something given by system. Null is taken as an object. It is a value actually. Okay, I'm going to show you typecasting. I'll show you that also. I think it works. Let's not check once. It works. So let's say so there's something called as a number object that is available. See what is the value? It is a numeric one. Can you see? It is a numeric one. So in previous times, parts int and parts float were the things that were used to convert strings to numbers. But now there is only one thing, that is number. This will convert any kind of string to number. Even if it is float, even if it is a thing, you don't have to use parts into a parts float. You can just use this number constructor. That's all. You can use this, and it will convert it into number. Is that clear? This is how you typecast. Okay, let's try. This is nan. That is basically not a number. So nan is basically it's not a type. Nan is not a type. Nan is it's you can say it's kind of an error. It kind of an exception that is given whenever you try to use something that is not number as a number. NaN is not a number. That only occurs whenever you try to use something that is not a number as a number. In previous times, if you're using parse int or parse float. In today's times, you can just use number. In ES6, you can just use this number constructor. It converts anything. It converts integer, floats, anything. Can be used for check. Yes, exactly. NaN can be used to check if a particular data is number or not. The number constructor works with floats and it's both. Gaurav. The number constructor works with float and int both. Here, wasabi is written, and that is perfectly right. You can use NaN to check if that thing is a number or not. Yes, it comes only in number case. It comes only whenever you try to use something that is not a number as a number. Harsha sir, can I share the assignment to you and then you can put it on your site so that they can see? Can that be done? Are you there, Harsha sir? Yes, yes, don't worry. This whole file will be uploaded. Don't worry about it. Harsha sir, are you there?
Yes, sir. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. I was asking, can I give you the assignment and then you can upload so that they can see there?
Yes, sir. You can just display the assignment like what they have to do, and then we'll upload it in our GitHub. The question will be uploaded in the GitHub.
Okay, actually, I have to write the assignment right now. So I thought I'll write it and give it to you, then you can just put it on here. Is that fine?
Sure, sure, sure. It will be uploaded on our GitHub after the session, like 1 or 2 hour. It will be uploaded.
Okay. So guys, I'll be writing the assignment questions and giving it to sir. He will be uploading it on GitHub. So you can get the assignment questions from there. Is that fine, everyone? No, you can run it anywhere. You don't have to run it on Visual Studio Code only. You can run it anywhere. The people asking how to convert it in string, you can just normally apply double quotes and it is converted. Here, there's no strict type. There is no strict typing. You can just apply double quotes and it has been already converted to string. You don't have to worry about it.
Saurabh sir, just one announcement I'll do. So
Yeah.
guys, your assignment will be uploaded on our GitHub. Let's upgrade GitHub repository. You need to complete your assignment, upload it in your GitHub day wise. Okay, like day two. Today's assignment is given, so day two, and that day to GitHub your profile link. You need to submit it in our assignment form, which is there in the description box below. Okay, or else if you are not willing to upload it on GitHub, you can directly bring that file and upload in our submission form. Am
Okay.
I clear for the submission side?
And so they're also asking for the deadline.
Yes, sir. So deadline it will be till Friday. So before the next class, we can submit, we can check all the things and keep it ready.
Okay.
So Friday 5 p.m.
Okay, guys. Friday 5 p.m. is your deadline. Friday 5 p.m. is your deadline. I'll try to give around 4 to 5 questions to you that you can solve and upload. So they are asking is if assignment submitting is compulsory.
Yes, assignment submission is compulsory because it will be eligible. It will make you eligible for the exams. The attendance and assignment submission will make you eligible for exams.
Yes, assignment submission is compulsory, guys, so that you are eligible for the exams.
Assignment link should be in the description. If you are not able to find it, refresh your page once. It should be there in the description box.
It's right below in the description, guys, the link of the assignment. No problem. If you do any mistakes, we'll check and sure, don't worry about it. Yes, you have to upload it on GitHub and share them with them. Share the link. You have to code it and you can upload your files as well, not a problem. Yes, at least you have to submit it. If getting difficulty, you can ask in the next session where we have doubt session. Don't worry. Okay, so I hope you people enjoyed today's session. So now we are ending it. Is that fine? All your questions, keep it with you. We are going to solve everything on the next time we take the lecture, next Saturday. We're going to solve everything. Whatever doubts you have, just write it down and share it with me in the next class. Yes, for this class, yes, we are doing it on Saturdays and Sundays. So I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Write all your doubts. We'll work on your doubts. And the next session is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to work with the DOM manipulation and objects and everything. That is very much important in JavaScript.
Sir, even if they have doubts, they can post it in the community where you can go and answer it them.
Yes, you can. If you also have any doubts, you can just go on the community, let's upgrade and post your doubts. I'm going to check it and solve it there also. Yes, you can actually do this. We don't get a lot of time in the sessions. So what you can do if you have any kind of doubts is go on the communities, post there, and we'll try to solve it and explain you there. Please, guys, post it on there only. It will be like a lot of. It will be easy for us to solve your questions.
Sir, but I saw one question like why GitHub. So we will recommend you to use GitHub because at the end of the this program and all, you can portray yourself like how well you did the JavaScript, like what all you learned. So GitHub is a, so let's say in a very basic language, it's a social media for technology codings. Okay, so you can portray yourself very well in the market with the GitHub account. Okay, sir. So, shall we end the session
Yeah,
today
yeah,
over here?
for sure, for sure, for sure.
Okay, sir. So, yes, guys, thank you for joining us today. We'll meet up next week, same timings. Okay,
Same
see you
time.
all next week. Till that, me, Harshad, signing from Let's Upgrade with Saurabh, sir. We'll see you in the next class. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. See you next Saturday.